Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is an action movie review and I'll be having a look at Commando starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Chris here will give us a quick summary about what the actual plot is. Over to you.
Basically, Schwarzenegger plays a retired or ex-commando who gets forced out of retirement when his daughter gets kidnapped by a group of mercenaries who want him to assassinate a foreign president. Basically, he only has like 10 hours or something to save his daughter, so he does what Arnie does and goes and kicks some ass. That's more or less the plot, really. Fair
enough. So the question I asked Steve, is Commando a rip-off of Rambo?
I wouldn't say it's a rip-off exactly. The story's
it's a slightly different.
It's kind of in the same vein. It's kind of like an 80s kind of military-based beat 'em up, basically, but
inspired by.
Yeah, I'd say it's influenced by. I wouldn't say it's directly. You could, I suppose, classify it in the same sort of ilk.
So I guess it's fair to say of these type of films, First Blood is probably the one that the I guess the candle is held to, if that makes sense. You know, 'cause that was
kind of spawned a lot.
That was the first one that really. Really, I mean, there was action films before that, obviously. But this kind of brought in this wave of these kind of like solo action heroes that sort of went out. And you know, I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger was at the time, obviously, the kind of, I guess, the main alternative to Stallone. Now, what do you think this film does well in regards to maybe it does things it does better than Rambo, or things it just does well on its own? What are the sort of positives you say about this film? Yeah. I'll go first. I actually think this film is a lot more fun. It's a fun film to watch. Its tongue's a bit more in cheek than I think the sort of the Rambo series, and I think Arnold is famous, especially in his heyday. This is Arnold's heyday.
Yeah,
and a lot more sort of one-liners and the kind of more.
It doesn't take itself too seriously,
yeah.
Does it? No.
So it was a fun film to watch, which kind of, I think, maybe lessened the impact of some of the violence. Maybe, arguably, but I think it's a fun film to watch, and for a piece of entertainment, I think it can kind of it maybe has that above Rambo, if that's kind of what you want from it ultimately. There you guys.
Yeah, I'd say I know what you mean. Rambo's a bit more kind of I don't know if you can call it deep, but it's a bit more, especially blood. Yeah, and it's dealing with kind of realities of Vietnam veterans coming back from war, and then. I mean,
I guess you could say Commando is more in line with Rambo rather than First Blood, isn't it? So.
But Rambo again is still based around the Vietnam War all the time, whereas Commando is not about any particular war. Maybe like, it's just
I don't know, like First Blood. You could almost call that like almost a drama rather than an action. It's a drama as well as an action flick. Where like Rambo 2.
It stands
and Commando are kind of full-blooded, kind of, like you say, tongue-in-cheek, kind of, they're not believable.
They're shoot-em-ups.
Typical mid-80s
sort of hero worship. I think a lot of it comes down to, if you have to sort of compare, say, Commando and Rambo, is who do you prefer in the lead ultimately. I personally in those days was more of a fan of Arnie than I was of Stallone. I still like Stallone films, but I preferred Arnie's films because I preferred him as a kind of as a sort of a celebrity and actor or what have you. So I think that does have a lot to do. So I personally feel in the sort of the 80s to see films based on the star far more than that happens these days. So you'd go and see the latest Arnie film just because he was in it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Alright. So, is there anything else that you thought maybe you kind of liked about this film?
Yes, I agree with you. It's a good film to watch if you like that action type films.
Yeah, it's pretty much action all the way as well. There's no kind of let up.
Entertaining.
It's kind of very much.
It is what it is.
But it's kind of very much of its day, isn't it? That sort of stuff was very popular in that kind of era. So.
I think the other thing as well, I think the characters were a bit more memorable. I forget who's the guy that Vernon Wells plays.
Bennett,
yeah. So he's much more of a kind of, maybe a caricature is more apt thing to say, but I think he's much, you remember.
Do you think he was gay as well? Do you think
Do I think he's gay? I never really considered the facts.
No, but in the character.
It's
the kind of where they,
there was some sort of gay undertone, isn't there?
Yeah.
I've never given that a second thought.
Homoerotic kind of
Is it?
stuff going on. Yeah, especially
I missed that one.
He's got chainmail and all that sort of stuff as well. It's kind of a bit, yeah.
I never really gave it too much thought.
No.
In the 80s, chainmail was cool because the Mad Max films rocked it. No, I've never given that a second thought, one way or the other, to be honest. But there you go. Who knows? But you know, Bennett, I thought he was a good character. You know, and you've got obviously the other sort of, because he basically goes after kind of one sort of character at a time, doesn't he? You've got Bill Duke's character as Sully, and they've all got their own sort of individual characters, rather than kind of just killing lots of cannon fodder.
You get that.
Does that make sense?
You get that at the end though.
Yeah.
That's all the cannon fodder.
Okay.
That's when it kind of comes into the Rambo kind of
S, and a bit unrealistic, kind of one man against 300, soldiers, and
because also did you know they actually were going to make a Commando 2?
No,
they were. Apparently, it was about sort of 88, 89, and they commissioned a script for Commando 2, but he didn't want to do it because he was he started to go into his comedies, and apparently the script ended up being Die Hard.
All right. There you go.
Because it was going to be set in LA. Yeah. That was originally the concept for the.
Fair enough. So where does this film fall down?
Where does it fall down? I don't think it does in many ways.
Well, it depends. For me, I'd say it's obviously unrealistic, but I still like it.
Yeah, it's realistic.
But, I don't know. I do like.
Yeah, but it's what it is.
Military films to be quite realistic, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
I do like it.
The thing that I like about it is also the thing that I think because it gets kind of it's just a kind of a bit of a trashy, forget about it type of film, because it obviously is so sort of just a kind of hero worship, one man against sort of against impossible odds type situation, and obviously it spawns that, and sort of the Rambo franchise obviously spawns a lot of the lower budget films. I mean, we were talking about obviously like Chuck Norris films and stuff like that, and there's quite a lot of these kind of the lower budget ones as well. And
spawned all the Van Dams and all that sort of stuff as well.
You can see there's not a lot to it. There's not a lot in regards to plot. So you can look at it and think it really is just just eye candy ultimately. That's what I would say if you had to sort of critique it somewhat. Not necessarily a bad thing, depends on what you want from it, but it certainly isn't a deep film.
Well, like it is what it is in a sense, isn't it? It's kind of like
you either like it or you don't.
So how is Arnie in the film? How do you think he does?
It's kind of as you'd expect Arnie to be.
But I think another thing that they did with Arnie in that film, because I think it was previous film was like the Terminator, wasn't it? And I think in that film where he doesn't speak a lot, and it's kind of I think they kind of purposely made a character where he's a bit more humorous.
He comes up with a lot of one-liners, a bit almost like Roger Moore type one-liners, don't he?
But that's become his staple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's become his brand of almost of doing it.
With Sully,
stick around.
To let him go.
And that's Predator, and it stick around.
Yeah. So, what would you give it 1 to 10?
I'll give it an 8, definitely.
7.
I'll give it a 6. So we'll say 7 out of 10. Let's say that's an average in that case. So 7 out of 10. What did you think of it? What are your favourite kind of 80s action films? Leave us a comment, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.